YouTube. Last time when I was working on this 94 MR2, the e-brake cable snapped somewhere inside of here. So that sucked, but $23 later, we have a new one. Let's see how to put it in. Here's the part number from Dorman. Since I'm still fat, I started by taking the T-tops off, and now we're going to remove the passenger seat. You have two plastic covers on the front of the feet for the seat. Now use a 14mm socket and remove the front two bolts. Use that 14 and remove the rear two bolts after putting the seat all the way forward. In order to get the seat out, we have to take off the seatbelt strap. So unscrew that bolt and pull it off the stud. This little Toyota box, it controls something, but it's going to be in our way. So go ahead and unplug it. Use a Phillips head screwdriver and remove these two screws on the center console piece. This tool is a panel popper. Now use a panel popper and pop off the door sill. Pop that side panel off where the seatbelt is. So this should give us pretty much no blockage to move the carpet out of the way, because we have to feed the cable through the floor right about there. But we still need to take out the center console to get to the connection at the actual handle. So we're going to do that. We're going to take these two bolts from the other side. So you need to just move the driver's seat forward and remove those two. And then we have to take this off. Open the door. On the bottom you have two Phillips screws. Open the top door and you have two more Phillips screws, and that should be all that holds this in. What I like to do is just pin it behind the driver's seat because we have a boost controller there. Now, gotta pull this boot. So you just pull the boot up here like this, and you're gonna spin it like so. Now we can lift this up out of the way, pull the e-brake, which it's not really even connected. That'll get this out of the way for this section. So now we can just lift, starting from the back, lift up and sort of do a smooth motion like this, because it tabs in front here. So it looks to me like we can get to the bolts through the top here, but the grommet to go under the car is gonna have to get fed from, stick my arms through here and then feed it in and out from under the carpet and then bolt it through this area. I'm gonna disconnect the brake cable bracket from the handle first, and then I'm gonna disconnect the bracket from the car for the handle. So the bottom for the bracket are 12mm and the bracket for the handle are 14mm. On the back side you have your emergency cable sensor wire. Unplug that. Now that you have the bracket fully open, you're gonna collapse this, then pull the wire this way until the wire comes through this little gap, and unplug it from the arm. Alright, take the time now to clean this bracket, and if you have some white lithium grease, spray it in the track. We're gonna attach the new cable. So the way that the cable sits, it's like in this little area here, and then it screws in. You can't obviously hook it over here, so it really only fits one way. So we're gonna flip this over and hook the wire in. So with the e-brake totally collapsed, then you're gonna take this and you're gonna slide it in. And it's hard to do this with one hand. You're gonna slide this in and push it down until it's in the groove, like that. So now it's in that groove. Now we're going to flip it over and we're going to screw in the new cable. Now that that's all done, we're pretty much done inside the car for now. We need to jack up the car and do the second part. You need to take off this cover that's right below the shifter and the e-brake, and they're just 10mm bolts. So go ahead, take them all off from here to pretty much right there. Looks like there's going to be about 6. First thing we can do underneath is pull this grommet out. That'll pull the whole cable through the bottom of the car. Use a pair of needle nose and pull this clip from the end of the cable. Undo this bolt that's holding on the cable to the car. So after removing the stock cable, it's seems to be pretty worn, but this isn't actually broke. So that sucks because I didn't order the back ones yet. So I'm going to install the new one on the cable. So now that I got it out, I'm just going to slide in the shifter from the top, feed it through, put the grommet back into that hole, and then just do the opposite moves of what I just did. Can't tell if that looks like a kink or not. Anyways, and then I'm gonna have to inspect the rear and see what's going on with that. Now that the top's put back together, reinstall the bottom part of the cable the same way you took it apart. Now that everything is done under the car and everything is done with the e-brake handle, reinstall the entire interior of the car and we're done inside the car. Alright, so we finally got the rear in the mail, so we're going to go ahead and put the rear in now that the front swapped out. Jack up the car, put some jack stands for safety. There's going to be 2 plastic covers in the center of the car. Remove them both and just put them off to the side. Using a 10mm socket like you did on the center, loosen the one side. Or if you're doing both cables, just take this plastic piece off too. But I'm only doing the passenger side, so I'm just loosening this side so I can get to everything. Before you're able to take off the cable, make sure your e-brake is down, not engaged, so that we can slip the cable out of that little housing. And it's just like a throttle cable, it has a gap in it. So you're going to pull the cable until you get it, it's hard to do this with one hand, but until you get it lined up with this gap here, and then pull it straight up. Pull this grommet out of the holder, so you're just going to pull it straight towards the outside of the car and it'll pop out. You're going to do the same thing with the next one down the line. Just pop that grommet out. Use a 10mm to disconnect this metal bracket, and that's what is holding in the end of the cable. Now that that's out, you can take the cable and pull it out. Now remove the wheel, grab a 14mm socket for your ratchet and a light. Remove the 14mm on this bracket. Remove that little steel clip that's holding in the metal peg. Now remove this C-clip that's holding the cable to this metal bracket. Once you remove that clip, you should be able to pull this forward and down. Now the cable is detached from both sides. You can feed it through and pull out the old cable. Slide in the new cable. Attach the new cable with the clip to the bracket. Attach the bracket with the 14mm bolt. push the pin up through the bottom to reattach it and put the small clip through the hole in the pin. Once you have those steps done, you can put your wheel back on. Now line up that flush part of the metal here inside of this groove here and put that little metal bracket with the 10mm bolt back in. Make sure you have it in between the two end grooves so that it's locked and it can't move. Now take those little metal bushings, pop them into the brackets and feed the cable through where it's supposed to go, and just make sure the bushings are popped into both securely. So now we need to hook in this piece, but I had a problem. The old one was broke, so I had a lot of leeway. So now I need to disconnect this bracket so that I can move this far enough to get this in through the groove. Now that it was down, it was real easy to hook up, so now I just have to bolt this plate back up. To adjust this cable, which we have to do because we can't even get the handle to click one time, there's a 12mm nut on each side, and then this T-bolt deal slides in the middle. So what we're going to do is slowly tighten this back one until we get the handle where we like it, and then we're going to lock down the front one to secure it so it doesn't move ever again. Now that that's reinstalled, everything seems tight. Go ahead and put those plastic covers back on, and you're all done. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next episode. Wrench on.